Watch the ride.
Hey everybody, hope you're all doing alright out there. So, you may have seen that last year they were trialling these seatbelt and phone detecting AI cameras. Now, they trialled it in Cornwall, I think it was, and now in recent months or recent weeks you may have seen this appearing in the news or in articles online because they're expanding the trial further and wider in the country. I don't think anyone's getting any fines yet, they're just putting the machines up and seeing how they do, what sort of accuracy they're getting, that sort of stuff. Now the way this works is it literally is a camera that takes a picture down into your car as you drive past, and it sees if you're wearing a seatbelt, and it sees if you've got a phone in your hand or if you're playing with buttons on your dash or something like that. Now that last one is something that I've heard a policeman online saying, and I'm like, wait, you're saying you can't adjust your air conditioning while you're driving? I don't think that's what he was saying. It's going to be interesting. I don't know what the outcome's going to be. But anyway, this is a really interesting thing, because unlike speed cameras, unlike noise cameras, I don't think anyone will have a problem with them. Now let me explain why. Some people like speed cameras because they believe they work and reduce, accidents and things like that. And they can if they're put in the right place. Other people hate them because it's seen as a revenue gathering thing. And you say, well, you just shouldn't speed then. Well, yeah, I guess we shouldn't. But alas, we still do them because it's fun. That's why speed cameras still exist. But when you look at the statistics of speed cameras, it isn't necessarily saving that many lives, as I understand it, Especially because of the placement of these cameras.
To be clear here, I'm not endorsing reckless speeding. I'm talking about the right time and place. Maybe a national speed limit country road, you can see well ahead, there's no traffic and you're going a few miles an hour over the speed limit, not loads. Not in a city, near a school, stuff like that, sensibly. Let's have a look at a study here that says the 5 major causes of UK traffic accidents and how to avoid them. So number 5 on this list, by the way, this was done by the European Transport Safety Council up to 2020. Number 5, drink driving, goes without saying. Number 4, losing control. Most of the accidents on which we have been counselled are caused due to speed, not to be confused with speeding, though this is sometimes a factor. It means making manoeuvres without slowing down to a safe speed, such as taking a bend on a road or changing lanes. So speeding is a factor, there is no question, but that's in the wrong place and outside the skill of the driver. That very often is the thing, People with no experience should not be speeding. People who've been driving for a very long time and are skilled, I'm not saying you should be speeding, but if they are, they're going to be safer than someone who has no experience. That's the only factual thing I can say. Being careless, reckless, or in a hurry, that obviously could be taken into that one at the same time. Losing control through doing that or hitting someone. But anyway, failing to judge another person's path or speed. And the number one reason, which accounts for over a third of all accidents in the UK, is caused by people failing to look properly. We could reduce accidents by by a third if we could teach people to look where they are going. How is that the number one reason? And it's very dangerous too, as it says here. I'm sure you will be familiar with the phrase tiredness kills. If you've ever driven on a UK motorway, tiredness can have a dramatic impact on a driver's awareness or reactions. Crashes caused by driver's fatigue are about 50% more likely to result in deaths or serious injury, as they tend to be higher speed impacts because the driver who had fallen asleep cannot brake or swerve to avoid impact, to reduce the impact. Do you know what people on motorcycles don't tend to do? Fall asleep. Also, I would trust a driver doing 80 mile an hour alert getting to the place they want to go more than someone sat, half asleep at 20 mile an hour driving through town. It seems more dangerous to me, and maybe it is.
So then you've got things like the noise cameras, which are also trialling, where they'll fine you for having an excessively loud motorcycle or car. Now again, there's people who like this. These are the people who live in little villages where motorcycles go through, and there are people that don't like it, which is people who like loud sounding bikes. Now of course there is always the argument that a loud exhaust on a motorcycle makes that motorcyclist safer, so there's going to be an argument there. So you can see there's an argument with all these types of things. Now when it comes to seatbelts, I actually don't care. I would rather be in a car where the driver isn't wearing a seatbelt. Do you know why? Because I can wear mine, and inherently they're going to drive better, hopefully, because they know they're at more risk. it's the age-old saying, if everyone had a 6-inch spike on their wheel, people wouldn't drive as bad as they do. Unless you fly out the car and hit someone, I don't believe innocent people are injured by people not wearing seatbelts. This is like if they made it not mandatory to wear a motorcycle helmet. That's people's deal. You know, they're the only one who's going to get hurt by it, so fill your boots. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. But know the risks of not doing it. That's the point. So I talk about open face helmets. But when it comes to mobile phone use, motorcyclists do have this sort of little righteous air that we can have of, well, we don't use mobile phones on our bikes. Yeah, but the fact is we can't. I mean, yeah, okay, they can be on your dash and you can fiddle with it and get distracted and you shouldn't do that. But the majority of people aren't sat with their phone in their hand while they're riding around. Not saying some don't. I've seen someone texting while riding. I've seen someone videoing themselves while riding, like a selfie backwards while riding at 60 down the road. It was insane. He was wearing a tracksuit and everything. But when it comes to mobile phones, I think ubiquitously everyone hates mobile phone use in cars because of the amount of damage that it causes to people. It's so unnecessary and it is so distracting. There are ways of doing it legally too. You know, you can have systems in your car that can read text, transcribe text, take phone calls and things. I don't even think it's the phone call that's as much of an issue if you do hands-free. Now, I know people are going to make facsimiles here between motor vlogging. What you're doing now is the same as being on a phone call with someone. It isn't, because no one's talking back to me and I don't have to listen to anyone. And if I want to stop talking, I can stop talking. But I don't have to because, see? It's more distracting when you have to listen to someone and try and think and you're actually processing other stuff than just riding. While I'm doing this, my mouth is pretty much going on its own. It says all sorts of things. Just thankfully that my brain can do this in a way that I've managed to turn it into a job. It is a skill. It does exist. Not everyone can do this. I, interestingly, cannot talk freely while playing computer games. If I do, I'm crap at them. If I want to be good, I have to shut up. It's just the way it is, so it doesn't always cross over. I just can't think of anyone coming up with a good argument as to why these cameras aren't a good thing. And at the end of the day, it's not like people haven't had a chance to stop using phones in cars. You know, first it was okay in the past, and then they were like, no, we shouldn't do this. So they started slapping people on the wrist. Then they started getting more and more severe with the fines. And then they got really severe with the fines, what was it, a couple of years ago, and everyone was like, well, that's it then. £1,000 fine and 6 points, I think it is, a possible maximum for having a phone in your hand while driving. That's not worth the risk. Well, apparently it is, because you see people on phones all the time. Although I will say here, I have seen less people on phones in the past couple of months, ish, than I have in the past. You know, we go on motorcycles, we get to go through traffic, we're taller than everyone else, so we look down in cars, and you can just tell when someone's got their phone on their lap and they're checking their texts from their head movements and the way people are driving. So as I say, yes, I know as a motorcyclist I'm kind of on a pedestal if I couldn't use a phone if I wanted to, so I'm, you know, this is almost like virtue signalling, saying, well, I don't use a phone. It's like, well, you bloody couldn't. Could you? I don't think anyone's going to be able to come up with a good argument as to why they're not a good thing. It's a really weird one where a camera which finds people for just going around and doing their daily business is probably a good thing. And the reason it's probably a good thing is that, yeah, okay, if you use your phone while driving and you don't ever crash, it's not a problem. But it happens so much that people do crash and kill people that it is worth stopping everyone doing it. I mean, look at truck drivers. The amount of truck drivers that have just been on their phone and then barreled right into the back of a load of stationary traffic on a motorway and killed 5 people or several people. It's happened too many times to be like, no, enough is enough. You've had your warnings, you've had your fines, no one's taking it seriously now. I mean, you see the interviews of people when they have actually hit someone while texting and they realise they killed someone, and then the realisation, just that sinking in realisation of 1 minute you were texting someone, the next minute you're now responsible for someone's death and you're gonna legally take the responsibility. Whoa, is that text really worth it? I don't think so. I really don't. So these things are a good thing. But as I say, I think it's very odd, unlike many other things, that I don't think anyone's going to come up with a good argument as to why they shouldn't be a thing and they shouldn't exist on the front of, you know, detecting phones, not seatbelts and stuff like that. Let me know what you think. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you're new here, and if you want to help support this channel, please consider doing that through Patreon. I would really appreciate it. Until the next one, bye bye.